we're going to develop a laser cut from this part that we just developed in Onshape. To do that, we're going to have to take this file and send it into a drawing file. Drawing files are typically going to be utilized to take your design to paper and add dimensions to send to a company so they can either manufacture or inspect it. In this situation, we're going to utilize it just to flatten out our file so we can send it to the laser cutter very similarly how we would do a printer. So I'm going to add my view there. I'm going to escape to get out of it. And the number one mistake that people are going to make with this is they're not going to check the properties on this and see if the scale is 1:1. And so by having 1:1, the circle on the page is 1.5 inches, very similarly to my 3D model. And so if that is accurate, I can go ahead and export this file. So I'm going to export it, and I'm going to make sure it's a PDF, which I've already done. So I'm going to open up Adobe Illustrator and start a new document. This new document I'm going to set up to work with my laser cutter, and so the size of the paper is going to be the same size as the bed as the laser cutter. And so it is going to be 24 wide, 12 tall, and set up in landscape mode. The most important setting in this is that it will be in RGB mode. And the reason that is that the laser cutter reads different colors as different functions within it. And so we can then go in and drag this file that we have already developed. So I open it up in Adobe Illustrator, and I'm going to drag it in to that file. Try again. There we go. And I'm going to close this out. So right now this file is in something called a layer. So if I click one part of it, everything moves with it. What I need to do is I actually need to go into that layer so I can double click on it, and you get this little gray bar up here. So I can delete all the lines that are not the ones I desired. And so I'm going to delete everything that's not my circle there. I even get rid of my little scale mark there. And then just for ease, I'm going to put it in the top left corner. I'm even going to zoom in a little bit. So if this is your first time with Adobe Illustrator, it's important to note that it's like my navigator window is under different windows here. And also if I want to have my rulers so I can see the size, I can click show rulers, and then I can drag lines out and see exactly where the edge of that circle is. So to print this, I'm going to want to just cut on the exterior here and this hole, and I'm going to get rid of everything else. So use those lines from the fillet, and I'm going to even get rid of my student number and name. Then I'm going to add it back in. I'm going to get out of this layer first. I'm going to add it back in with the text tool. There we go. And I can set it to whatever size I so desire. And so I'm going to set this to Arial, because I like Arial. And set to bold. And I'm going to have it be centered. Let's bring that up. The little pink line means that's in the center, which is nice to work with. I'm then going to bring in my UK logo by just dragging in. And I'm going to transform it and scale it down. So the scale I'm going to use is 9% of its original size. I'm going to drag it into place. It's not as important as this to be centered because the UK logo is kind of skewed or heavy on one side rather than the other. That'll work. All right. And now what I need to do is now, if I ran this file, it would raster everything. So in other words, it would etch everything because my setting for black is to raster, which just means lightly cut the surface. And I want to change it to red, which is cut through the entire part. And so I'm going to click here on my edge, double click in there, select the edge of my circle. I'm going to select red, boom. And I'm going to set my line weight to be a hair width, so there's no confusion about where that line is going to be. So I set it to 0.001. Do the same thing with the other line. And I'm going to exit my 2 layers here. And check to make sure everything's still there. And so now what will happen is when I send this to the laser cutter, it's going to lightly engrave all my black. And then it's going to cut through all these lines that are invisible here that are set in red.